Craving cookies. Emma stood in the kitchen, the late afternoon sun streaming through the window and casting a warm glow over the room. The smell of freshly baked cookies filled the air, teasing her senses and making her mouth water. She couldn't resist. She needed those cookies. Her husband James sat at the table, engrossed in his newspaper. She walked over, swaying her hips just a little more than usual, her silk robe brushing softly against her skin. She leaned against the counter, a playful smile dancing on her lips. "James," she purred, "I've been thinking about those cookies all day. I just can't get them out of my mind." He glanced up, raising an eyebrow as he caught her suggestive tone. "Oh, is that so?" he replied, folding the newspaper and setting it aside. "What's so special about these cookies?" Emma sauntered over to him, her fingers trailing lightly over the back of his chair. "They're just so irresistible," she said, her voice a low murmur. "Soft, warm, and they melt in your mouth." James chuckled, catching on to her game. "You do have a way with words, my dear. How many do you want?" She moved behind him, her hands resting on his shoulders as she leaned in close, her breath warm against his ear. "I think I need at least 3, she whispered, her lips brushing his earlobe. "I'm not sure I can stop at just 1. James turned in his chair, his eyes darkening with desire. "3, huh? That's quite a lot. You sure you can handle it?" Emma smiled, a mischievous glint in her eye. "Oh, I'm sure," she replied. "I've been waiting all day for this. I can't wait to get my hands on them." He stood up, towering over her as he took her by the waist, pulling her close. "Well, if you want those cookies, you're going to have to work for them," he said, his voice a low growl. Emma looked up at him, her eyes sparkling with anticipation. "Anything for those cookies," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. James leaned down, capturing her lips in a deep, passionate kiss. His hands roamed over her body, exploring every curve, every inch of her. She moaned softly, her body arching into his touch. Breaking the kiss, he guided her to the kitchen island, lifting her onto the cool marble surface. "Stay right there," he ordered, his voice husky with desire. "I'll get you those cookies." Emma watched as he moved to the cookie jar, his movements slow and deliberate. He took out 3 cookies, each one looking more delicious than the last. Returning to her, he held one up to her lips, his eyes locked on hers. "Open wide," he commanded. She obeyed, her mouth opening as he placed the cookie inside. The taste was even better than she imagined, rich and decadent. She closed her eyes, savouring the flavour. "Good girl," James murmured, brushing a crumb from her lips. "Now let's see if you can handle the rest." He fed her the second cookie, his fingers lingering on her lips, his touch igniting a fire within her. By the time he offered her the third, she was trembling with desire, her body aching for his touch. As she finished the last cookie, James pulled her into another kiss, his hands roaming her body once more. "How were the cookies?" he asked, his voice rough with need. "Delicious," she whispered, her voice breathless. "But now I want something else." James grinned, lifting her off the counter and carrying her towards the bedroom. "I think I can help with that," he said, his eyes burning with passion. As they disappeared down the hallway, the smell of cookies still lingering in the air, Emma knew she would never look at cookies the same way again.